Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them.
So how do you make your plans? I mean, really, do you map out every detail with total confidence, or do you kind of leave room for life to happen? We're living in an age of hustle and life hacking, and we are obsessed with being in control. Well, today we're going to dive into this short but incredibly powerful ancient text that challenges our whole approach to planning, to purpose, and to what it even means to live a life that admits, hey, maybe we're not the ones in charge. Let's get into it. Okay, so our journey starts with a scene that honestly feels like it could be happening in a coffee shop today. We meet this first-century entrepreneur, right? And they have a solid, ambitious business plan. They've picked the city, they've set the timeline, 1 year, and the goal is crystal clear: make money. This is the kind of strategic thinking we're taught to admire. It's the bedrock of any successful business. And that's the big question this whole passage makes you ask. I mean, on the surface, this sounds like just good sense. It's organized, it's proactive, it's totally goal-oriented. So what's the problem? What's the hidden flaw that the author, James, is trying to point out in this perfectly reasonable-sounding plan? Well, it turns out the issue isn't the plan itself. It's the attitude behind it. The problem is baked right into the language, that confident declaration, we will. It's this presumption of total control over the future, an arrogance that just completely fails to account for one of life's most basic truths. Just look at this contrast here. It's so stark. On one side, you have these bold, confident statements. We will go, we will spend, we will make money. And then on the other side, you get this massive dose of reality. You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. The whole thing is built on this illusion of certainty. So, and this is the key, this isn't just some small mistake in how we think. The text actually frames this as a pretty serious spiritual problem. This kind of self-reliant boasting is called evil because it completely ignores God's sovereignty, this idea that God has the ultimate say. It shows a divided loyalty, and it sounds a lot like that old parable of the rich fool who spent all his time planning his bigger barns, totally forgetting his life could be over that very night. And to really hammer this point home, the author switches from just critiquing the plan to, redefining our whole existence. He uses this incredibly powerful and poetic metaphor to completely shift our perspective on life and time. Just let that sink in for a second. What is your life? You are a mist. All our big plans, all our ambitions, everything we're trying to build, it's all happening inside a life that's described as a mist. Something that's here, maybe it's even beautiful for a moment, but it's fundamentally temporary. It vanishes just as quickly as it showed up. And this is just brilliant. The original Greek word here is atmos, which is actually where we get our word atmosphere. It means vapor or steam. So the point isn't that life is meaningless, not at all. It's that it is unbelievably fleeting, just like morning fog that feels so real, and then poof, the sun comes out and it's gone. And this mist metaphor, it has a huge theological purpose. It's meant to highlight our own limitations in order to emphasize God's sovereignty, right? If our lives are this fragile and we have zero clue what's happening tomorrow, it logically points to a power that does know and is in control. Our uncertainty actually points to God's authority. So, what do we do with this? If life is just a mist and we can't know the future, should we just stop making plans? Should we just wander around without any goals? No. The text says there's a different way, a really radical alternative. So instead of just throwing out planning altogether, the writer says we need to change the posture of our planning. It's a huge shift from arrogant self-talk to, really, a humble submission. And this is so important to get. This isn't about just tacking on a magic phrase like God willing at the end of every sentence. It's not a formula. It's about developing an internal attitude, a genuine posture of the heart that really acknowledges we are completely dependent on a will bigger than our own for our very next breath. So this becomes the new model. And look at the structure here. The plan is still there. We will live and do this or that. but now it's held inside this crucial condition: if it is the Lord's will. Our plans, our ambitions, they're all held a little more loosely, submitted to a higher purpose. And this way of thinking, this posture of dependence, it's not some new idea. It's a theme you see all over, and it's modeled perfectly by Jesus himself in the Garden of Gethsemane. His prayer, "Not my will, but yours be done," is the ultimate example of the submissive heart that James is talking about. Okay, but just when you think you've got the lesson, plan with humility, the author adds this one final, really powerful twist. He shows us that this humility isn't about just sitting around waiting. It's actually about unlocking a whole new kind of action. So after all this, after you've humbled yourself, you've acknowledged God is in control, and your life is a mist, what does that new understanding actually obligate you to do? The text suggests that with this new truth comes a pretty profound responsibility. And here is the pivot. This humble mindset isn't supposed to paralyze us with what-ifs. It's supposed to free us from the anxiety of being in control so we can actually go out and do good. So the final question isn't just how you plan. It's once you've learned to plan with humility, what good are you now free to go out and do?